Good evening, everybody. Welcome into our exciting 2025 Ryder Cup preview show here on Tee to Green. I know we've been off the air for a few weeks on WGR, but we're back live on our streaming platforms on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We appreciate you being with us, and we got the whole crew here. We're excited. I'm Brian Koziel, Kevin Sylvester, Jeff Meadis, Jeff Blank. We're all here and ready to go as we are less than 2 weeks away from the Ryder Cup in our own state in New York, in Bethpage State Park on Long Island. And we'll be previewing that here for the bulk of the show. But let's welcome everybody in. Kevin, fresh off his trip of watching Scotty Scheffler win again at Napa Valley at the PGA Tour last week. Kevin, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I don't know how fresh I am since I woke up. I went to bed last night trying to stay up, get back at East Coast time. And it was like a nap because I woke up at 12:30 and was up till 4. So we'll see how fresh I am. But yeah, it was, he just can never count the guy out. He shot 200 the first round. He just continues to build and puts himself in position in penultimate group. Ben Griffin played really well. Felt bad for him, that 3-putt on 18. A hole that on the weekend he played 1 over par. And there was a difference. His first bogey of the week was on Saturday, 54th hole. And then on the green, those greens are tough to putt. Those POA greens, they're very bumpy. The ball bounced along the way on that 60-footer, which, if it had gone in, he would have won. And then misses that putt just inside of 6 feet. Felt bad for him, but that's just how good Scotty Scheffler is.
Absolutely. So, yeah, another win for Scheffler. And we're going to get PGA Pro Jeff Meadis' take. Of course, you can go see Jeff for lessons at Golf Dojo, which reminds all of us, our Winter Rules podcast here that we do during our off radio season, during the fall and into the winter, presented by Golf Dojo. 2 great locations, Niagara Falls Boulevard, Transit Road, and their new Southtowns location coming very soon, Jeff Meadis, right?
Yep. Yeah, I was checking it out, checking out the building out of it just the other day. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a little bit bigger space in the Southtowns, and exciting to add that to the pen of great places we already have.
Great. How about another win for Scotty Scheffler, Jeff Blank? I know you're our numbers guy. Add this to the season that we already know he's going to win Player of the Year, but historically, this again, the Tiger comparisons are natural. We know we probably shouldn't do it, but it's the last guy that you have to go back to that's had a season like this.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is an odd comparison, but he kind of reminds me of Floyd Mayweather a little bit. He kind of just wears you down over 4 days. Like he's never, with few exceptions, he's never shooting, 10 under par the first round and coasting to victory. That does happen, but a lot of times he's just hanging in the back of the pack. And then all of a sudden you get to Sunday, he's 2 strokes off the lead on the back 9 and he wins. It's amazing.
Yeah, I like that comparison, actually. Yeah,
if I could get it out, Floyd. Maybe.
Yeah, no, but he looks for his spots, right? And then he throws a big punch in there, not a knockout punch usually, right? But one that he outpoints you in the late rounds, and then you're like, he's forcing the issue for the other players.
And actually, you bring up a good point there. When I look at the Ryder Cup, I wonder if that type of style works or not. He's 2-2-3 in the Ryder Cup, heading 10 days away here. Does that grinding out approach succeed in the Ryder Cup? It'll be interesting to see. We're 10 days away.
I agree.
I look at those numbers, 2-2-3. He wasn't playing like this 2 years ago. So all that can go. In my mind, that can go get set aside. And Tiger used to do this too. Tiger always liked to ease into his tournaments. This front 9, he never went out and shot 30. He always eased into his rounds in the tournament, and he built as he went along. And I think, the good players do that, especially when you're confident. It's amazing how well you can play later in the rounds.
Yeah, I agree with that. Kevin, so you're there covering it last week, and part of the reason we saw Scheffler and some of the other big names was because of the Ryder Cup. Keegan Bradley basically said, hey, I want the team to play. Was everybody there minus Bryson DeChambeau? Obviously a PGA Tour event, he couldn't play. Were the other 11 all in attendance?
Xander Schauffele was not. He and his wife welcomed their first child. So,
oh, nice.
I think
congratulations to him.
Yeah,
good excuse. But what do you think about that? I guess thought from Keegan to have the team play and not have essentially a month off from competitive golf.
Yeah, I think it was great because the European team, they did the same thing, on the DP World Tour for the BMW Championship. at Wentworth. So yeah, well, like, why wouldn't you want to keep the saw sharp or sharpen it a little bit? And the interesting thing, that's also an opportunity. They had a big team dinner and some other things, bonding type deals. But they had them play in threesomes, and it was interesting with the groups. Like, do we read into it? Like, so Scotty Scheffler, Russell Henley, JJ Spaun. Well, Scheffler and Henley played very well together at the President's Cup. I know he played with Burns in Italy. Scotty and Burns are tight, but yeah, it seems kind of a preview. Okay, you're going to put Scheffler with Henley, so is JJ going to work it? And what's the deal with JJ in there? And then you had Justin Thomas with Ben Griffin and Cameron Young. They were another threesome. Patrick Cantlay was with Sam Burns. It was interesting to see how they put them, and it was at foreshadowing to what Keegan is thinking as far as 4-ball and foursomes. Which,
Jeff,
four-ball foursomes, best ball, alternate shot, but try to use the proper terms.
That's right. Jeff Metis, when we look at the USA team, obviously we just talked about Scheffler. We know he's going to be, out there if physically, I would assume, as long as he's okay with it every single session. But then after that, the next set of what you would consider to be biggest, most accomplished names are Xander Schauffele. Kevin just mentioned he didn't play last week due to the birth of a child with his family, but he had an off year, dealt with injury. He's a multi-major winner. Another multi-major winner is Colin Morikawa, who I think probably, if you look at the team itself, maybe he had, I don't want to say worst year of the group of the 12, but maybe you could say that word here. Jeff, is there a concern that after Scheffler, with a lot of guys that maybe have never yet to experience the Ryder Cup in this setting, and Beth Page is going to be a setting like nobody's experienced in terms of maybe what it's going to be like? Do you have a concern on the USA side there about the experience and guys that have played under a ton of pressure?
I don't know about, I think it depends what your game's like that week. And some people are going to respond to it and some people are going to have a hard time with it. JJ Spaun, he's played pretty well this year and he's risen to the pressure a lot. And this will be new for him. So, I think certain people, and as we said, it's how's your game that time? Are you confident in your game? Is there a part of your game that you're not confident? Because any kind of weakness is really going to pop up, especially under a crucible like that with the pressure and the weight. If you're uncomfortable with a shot, it's going to show. If you're not confident with your putting, it'll be visible. It'll shed a harsh light on anything you're not doing well. But sometimes a situation like that, or you're just so engaged and competing so hard that you forget about all that and you just compete your hardest and your best will come out. And I think that's what happens to a lot of players. And, that's why you see someone like Tiger, he's always been good, but he didn't have the world's greatest record in the Ryder Cup. But you never know. It's really hard to say until those guys get out there and you watch them play. And that's why you have a captain making those tough decisions on who to play in each round.
Can I jump in on JJ Spaun in particular? He struggled mightily with the putter last week, particularly Saturday. And he was, just talking to himself a lot late in the round. Matter of fact, he was on the practice green with his putting coach working on the putting. He did, because you want to talk about a player with confidence with the putter. He was not confident last week. Now, again, Poa Green's going to be different than what they're going to see at Bethpage Black. But he's not confident. Listen, Morikawa hasn't been a good putter all year long, has he, Jeff Blake? He's all about ball striking, third in approach to the green, I think, on the season, but he's like 1/30th in putting strokes gained. So you got to putt on the line with Morikawa, Blanker. I'm not confident.
And then you got the imagery of Griffin missing the putt to go to the playoff with Scotty. So all that's kind of in play here. That I don't know. I don't have a great feel for what Team USA is going to do. I mean, there's so many guys that just haven't been in that spotlight before. You got a few of the mainstays like Cantlay, like you said, Morikawa, Scheffler, Schauffele. I kind of feel like if you're Team USA and you're putting out your first group in the first day, I think Bryson's got to go out there. I think he's got to get the crowd going. He's got to get the energy going, because I look at this roster and I'm just like, who else is going to bring it?
So who do you put him with?
I was going to ask that question to you guys with, like, who do you put with Scheffler? Like, who's the guy? Is it Henley? Is it
Russell Henley? I put Russell Henley
is the guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
But who do you put with Bryson that can kind of match his energy?
Well,
Man.
it's interesting. I don't know if you saw, there was a quote from Xander Schauffele. He said, I think he said, put me out there with him. I want to see him hitting drives and just grabbing putter immediately after he hits driver, like at Whistling Straits. We need that kind of energy. So, maybe that was Xander asking to play with Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
I don't think you put a Ben Griffin with him, right?
No, I think JT might be the other one that you could.
Well, see, I think you got to put a veteran with a young guy. I think JT and Griffin played together the first 2 rounds. I think that's the plan, to have JT play with Griffin.
I think JT you could throw in that category, Kevin, of guys that can bring energy. I mean, I know we look at the U.S. team and say like who can kind of lead a pairing. I think Thomas's experience in this stage, and he thrives on that big time pressure crowd scenario. Like we know ultimately maybe he's been a little up and down this year, but I think Thomas could kind of lead a group in that sense.
I like what you said, Kev, about putting a veteran with a rookie too, especially on the first round for their first event or their first round of the event. You'd want to have someone to walk down the fairways and talk to about it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Bryson is he's an energy guy. You've got to be somebody who's going to be okay with it, right? And Xander, I is probably like his personality may be the best. Harris English, again, he's kind of the quiet veteran. I could see you could put Harris with a lot of guys in that line. I could see Harris with JJ. I could see Harris with Cameron Young. I think there's plenty of people you can put Harris English with. You can put him with Colin Morikawa. Matter of fact, I think they were together in the same group. So, but I think putting DeChambeau with somebody, and I think you're right, Brian. I think he's got to go out early and fire up that crowd.
Yeah, I would agree. Go ahead, Jeff.
The European team's having the same discussions about their players that we're having about the American team too. So there's always questions when you walk into something like this, and the questions get answered when it's over.
Well, the only difference, though, Europe's got essentially the same team back from Italy, except they switched out Højgaards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's not Højgaards. What, it's Rasmus this time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nikolai last time?
But they all haven't been in top form. So coming into this, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think ultimately, too, what you mentioned about putting earlier, Kevin, with Morikawa, I feel like, and this is going to be a blanket statement, it's not necessarily something that I'm poking at an individual or even at this moment. I feel like my lifetime of the Ryder Cup, since I've been old enough to pay attention to it, has been watching Europe make clutch putts. And I know we can talk about course setup and home course advantage and the crowd and who's bringing energy and who's not bringing energy and experience versus rookie. If I was just going to say, over the last 20 years of me watching the Ryder Cup, every single putt that seems like it's pressure packed, that's makeable, I feel like I see Justin Rose make every one, Ian Poulter make every one. I see their fist pumps going like this all the time, and I see the U.S. team miss them more often than not. And ultimately, in the end, I don't want to make it so simplistic, like it comes down to that again. But Europe seems to just know how to make clutch putts when it matters, and I feel like for the variety of reasons why they've had maybe the upper hand in this last 25 years or so in this event, I just think they love that moment on the green when they've got that 20-footer to win the hole, and they've got guys that have proven to come through on it.
Yeah. Poulter immediately came to mind when you said that. And Justin Rose absolutely came to mind in making those putts. And, the legacy and just, it's interesting. Justin Rose, you bring him up, and he was asked about, Team USA is, trying to get this chemistry, right? Trying to become a team, a unit, much like Europe. And he said, you know what? I think they're kind of going about it. I understand what they're trying to do, but for us in Europe, like, we want to be part of history, and we all feel like we're just adding. I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit. He's like, we're adding pages to the chapters, the next chapter in the book to carry on the legacy. And he goes, and we just all just kind of it's almost. I think he's trying to say it's like a river. We just jump in and go along with it. We're not trying to create the current of the river where Team USA is trying to do that. And they're working really hard to do that. where in Europe they don't have to. They just all know. They just all know what it is, and they get on board and throw everything out the window. I do think Team USA is tighter. I think these guys are more familiar with each other, maybe more of a team. But then it comes down to under the gun. How's it going to be, right? And Jeff, you could talk about this as a professional. When you got a putt that matters, there's only 2 results, right? I mean, and I think people maybe overthink it. It's even in their local, club championship, whatever. There's only 2 results on each putt. It's either going in or not. That's it.
Yeah, there's no, hey, nice try. You hit the putt you wanted to hit. Does it go down? Does it go in? And you look forward to that, though. And all these guys are super excited to be on this team. This is what you want as a player. You're reaching the pinnacle of your sport to compete at this level, and you want to be in that. You want to have that kind of competition. And I bet every single one of them would love to have a 6-footer to win it on the last hole for their side.
Yes, they
every
would.
single one, whether they're confident or not, you want that chance. And you become so engrossed in that moment, that confidence, all that, how you've been putting the week before, none of that matters at that point. It's just, are you going to make it? And sometimes you find a way, and it does seem like Europe did find a way a lot of times to make more putts than we did.
So I like what you said there, Jeff. Maybe I'll pose it back to the crew here. If you had a 6-foot putt to win the Ryder Cup for Team USA and you couldn't pick Scotty Scheffler, who are you picking to make that putt?
I pick
Sam
myself.
Burns.
Yeah.
Sam Burns. That would be my pick, Sam Burns.
Yeah, Sam Burns, the best putter on the season on the PGA Tour. So, yes. And that's why we might see him. So he's interesting because, like, you put him with Morikawa. They got one of the, like the opposite of strengths there. That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, putting the pairings, it depends. Again, do you want to have them play in that alternate shot format where, then Morikawa, where Morikawa maybe is only putting on half the holes himself at that point, essentially. Right.
Correct. But, think about this. I mean, Burns is not as accurate off the tee, but you got the most accurate guy into the greens hitting the next shot. Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking they're a great team.
Yep. And you can set up the strategy of like, okay, where, are there more 5s on the evens or the odds? Like you set that up the par 3s where, who might putt more, who might have more approaches based upon the course strategy. So good segue here, by the way. We'll talk about the course here. If you're joining us live here on Twitter, on X, of course, Instagram, YouTube, on our Tee to Green social media pages, we appreciate you being with us. Brian Colzio, along with Kevin Sylvester, PGA Pro Jeff Metis, and Jeff Blank. If you've found us here live, thanks so much for tuning in as we get you ready for the Ryder Cup less than 2 weeks away at Bethpage State Park, the Black Course. Let's talk about Bethpage hosting the U.S. Open. The first time it really got back on the big stage, 2002, when Tiger won, and then another U.S. Open in 2009 with Lucas Glover, a couple of PGAs in there, Koepka winning one of his 2 in a row at that spot, and now it's going to get a Ryder Cup stage. Kevin, we'll start with you, a guy that is inside the ropes, that goes around the PGA Tour to different venues. This obviously is going to be a little bit different of a crowd than the normal PGA Tour event. What are you expecting in terms of maybe that piece of it as Bethpage is the host this year?
Wow. Well, I mean, what a property, right? I mean, it's a huge ballpark. Brian, I believe you've played it. I've been there. I worked the old Barclays when Patrick Reed actually won. By the way, oddly enough, 3 U.S. players that you could say were considered didn't make the team that won at Bethpage. Lucas Glover,
Koepka,
and Patrick Reed, right? Guys have had great success there, but I digress. It's an interesting property because you have the holes behind the clubhouse, which, 1, and then I think it starts with 15, 16, 17, 18, it might be 14, 15, 16, 17. Like those determining holes, that's where everybody's going to be, Brian. Because it's a heck of a walk, right? You cross the road and get up the hill there.
Yeah, after the first hole, you got to go across the road, and then 2 through 14 are on the other side. And you're right, you can get way out, and then you got a mile back to the clubhouse. So
it's like a different golf.
If you're going from Western New York and you want to get up a little closer, it's good. It's good. By the way, it's going to be a hard spectating job already because there's only 4 groups in the course. But if you want to get closer, go way out, take the walk. I'm sure the atmosphere on the first hole and the 18th hole is going to be just ridiculous. But
Yeah,
this is
interesting to me because I do think it's like different golf courses, right? And I think Team USA has the advantage when they get back, like behind the clubhouse, and then when they get over, in the Parkland, and then there's the fescue. We'll see how it's all set up, but that's more European to me. So that'll be interesting to see, how that goes for Team USA.
And Brian, you'll be there.
Yep, and I'll be there. So make sure you're following our social media accounts here, wherever you're watching right now. We'll be posting some of the action, and I'll be checking in throughout. So I'm looking forward to taking this in.
What's the over under on how much you're going to spend in the merch tent?
Oh God, I've already.
I'm going to put the line. I'm going to put the line at 400 and no, that's too low. I'm going to put the line at $650. Blank. What do you say? Over or under?
Ooh.
Well, he's a school teacher.
I'll take the under on that. That seems like a lot. I don't know what the prices are.
I'm so excited to tell everybody that I'm going, and then 3 minutes into the conversation, I realize, oh crap! Now I got to buy something for you because you're asking me. Oh, can you give me a hat? Can you give me a?
I'm good.
I know.
So for the individuals watching, put in the comments what you want Brian to buy you.
Yeah.
And he will bring it back and mail it to you.
That's why I put the over at 650 because everybody's going to be.
That's a good point.
Hey, pick me up this, pick me up that.
Blank, we need you to set up Tee to Green Venmo for everybody so they can pay me. So I don't.
Right.
I can't afford to buy.
That's not a terrible idea in general, Blank.
That's right.
Well, there you go.
Well, thinking a lot on the fly here.
What
right.
he won't be buying on this trip is the warning sign because it's sitting on its
That's right. Wait, hold on. There it is, right back here. Yes, the black course is super hard. Yes, don't play it unless. And we've seen stories of since they obviously the course you can't play now because they've shut it down for the Ryder Cup, but up a few weeks ago and months ago, people were sleeping in the car overnight. The first time I played the black, it was in April. It was April. It was a little cooler. I remember I had on like quarter zip pants, like it was cooler. And I got to the course. It was maybe like a Monday or a Tuesday in April. And I got there at like 5 a.m. and I said, hey, I'm a single. Can I get on the black? And he said, I can get you like at 7:40. We got one opening. So I had like about 2 hours and 40 minutes of excitement. And it seemed like the longest 2 hours and 40 minutes ever, but you can only hit so many range balls and I'm like, all right. And then I'm going to get breakfast. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. But it was worth it. You had to walk, and there were some fairways that you're sitting there on the tee, and I'm not playing the tips. Like obviously these guys are going to play, I guess whatever you consider the normal, like white tees that you'd be playing at, your local course. There's a couple of fairways where I go, oh, if I don't get all of this, like I'm not even going to get to the fairway. Like there's some really, really some tough stretches there where it's super long off the tee. But yeah, it's hard. It's going to be great. That facility, by the way, just a reminder for all of you listening, if you do live in New York, I know playing at this moment is going to be difficult, but like next year, there's 5 courses there. It's a state park. All you have to do is show your New York State license and you can get discounted race at the black. But they have the red course, which is right next to it, is supposed to be like, I think people say just as good. I've played the yellow and the green. The green I thought was really nice, but I mean, even some of them that are shorter, that whole complex is awesome. 5 golf courses in a state park, and some of them are literally in the $30 range to play. Like they've really, really done an excellent job. I wish we had kind of like a facility up here in Western New York that was like a 5-course, 4-course kind of facility like that. It would be really cool.
The U.S. Open course here just got new bunkers at Grover.
That's true.
There you go.
Hey, the 2 county courses have gotten improved very much.
That's the county executive in Erie County. He's a golfer, so he is. I'm not saying anybody else wouldn't have, but because he's a golfer, there's a little more detail, paid attention to it, and that's fine because you know what, this game's for everybody at all different price points, and we need municipal facilities, and they should be decent. They should be better than decent.
I agree.
Going back to Bethpage for a second, I do want to ask because you guys have been there. Some may know the course better than others, but let's say you are coming from Buffalo, you're traveling, you're going to go to the Ryder Cup. We've done this with Oak Hill. Like, where are the spots to be where maybe you can see multiple holes? What is that at Bethpage that for listeners that might be going?
Well, I think to me the coolest hole, number 2, if you can get up by 2 green, across the road and you climb that hill. I think that's a cool hole. to see players come into.
And the 3 tees right next to it.
Yeah, 3 tees right there. And then the par 3s at 14, Brian?
Yeah. Oh, where you're hitting kind of over a small ravine, kind of, I guess you'd say. Yeah.
Yes. Cool hole. Really cool hole. And, I would get to that one early. That's one you might have to camp out on and wait for players to come. That's the challenge, because there is only 4 groups on the course at a time, at least in the morning and afternoon session. And then you got the individual matches on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to walk deep, like Brian mentioned. You get way out there, deep into the front 9, early back 9. It is a huge walk to get out there, so you may have an advantage if you want to follow that. And, there's going to be a ton of grandstands around 15, 16, 17. Matches may not even get to 18. So, I would get across the road. I would try 2, 3, what Brian mentioned. I would try 14. Great holes to watch.
There's only water, by the way, just for whether you're there or not. There's only water on one hole in the entire course. It's the par 3, number 8. It's probably the back corner of the course. If you're going to walk all the way to the back, it's number 8. It's a par 3 downhill, really picturesque. It's the only water on the entire facility. There's lots of other challenges. It's not easy in any way. It's not easy in any way because of the fact that there's no water, but that's kind of a nice spot to go if you're willing to take the walk out there. All right, so we've talked about the teams, who may be going with who, the players. Let's maybe throw some predictions out here. Metis, let's start with you here, bud. We'll give you the floor. What do you think?
I'm an American. Yeah, I'm an American, so I can't not pick the Americans. I do think the home advantage and having your ace Scotty Scheffler, I got to think he's gonna, you need 14 points to win, 14 and 14 and a half. Is it? I forget now. And
U.S. will need 14 and a half because they actually have to get it. If they say tie, Europe retains.
Yes, Scotty's going to win a lot of matches, and that's an advantage I think we have. And I just picked the home field advantage, and we're due. We got to win this. That's all. That's why I'm picking it. I have no feel who's going to win, but I'm going to pick the Americans.
Blank, what do you got here? What are your numbers telling you?
Yeah, I haven't really crunched the numbers. I look at the rosters and I'm just like, I don't see an avenue where the U.S. wins. So I'm going to go with Europe, unfortunately, although it is very difficult to win on foreign spoils. I know. I don't want to pick Europe, but I'm struggling to see who's going to step up for Team USA besides Scheffler. Obviously, the whole Ryder Cup can't be on his shoulders. So unfortunately, I'm going to go with Europe.
Okay, Kev, what do you think?
There's no way in hell I'm picking Europe. I mean, come on. I'm American too, Jeff Blank. Come on.
I'm not giving up my passport here. I'm just saying who I think should win.
I do have an idea, though. Jeff brings up the point. USA's got to win 14 and a half, right, to take the cup away from Europe. I just propose this. I think the captain should play a 9-hole match. First match out Sunday morning. That's the tiebreaker. You already know what the tiebreaker is. So if it comes 14-14, and whichever captain won that 9-holer, they get the cup.
Yeah.
No?
I like it.
I have a pretty good feeling our captain would win that at this point.
Well, I do too, because he should be playing.
Yeah.
He should be.
But don't forget, Luke Donald was a former number 1 in the world.
Yes, former keyword.
Yes. Like
That's
35 years ago. Yeah.
He's actually had some good tournaments this year, Luke Donald.
Yeah.
So, but with that in mind, you'd pick players, right, who can play moving forward. Could you imagine Tiger Woods as a captain and he is playing a 9-hole match against, Justin Rose, 4 years from now?
Sergio.
Come on. Or Sergio. That'd be amazing.
We'll bring Colin Montgomery back. We'll bring him back. Captain, he could play. That wouldn't go well,
right.
Especially at that day.
Brian?
So I always like to see what Las Vegas is telling us, because they don't lose money. The U.S. is minus 145. Europe is plus 170 as of this moment. So that would tell me that the U.S. is a we'll say slightly comfortable favorite in winning this, which wants me to go there. I think Europe's roster is deeper, top to bottom. I think because of look at their 11 and 12. It's like you have Rom was a captain's pick. Like, I mean, that guy if he played the best of anybody in the tournament, you wouldn't be surprised. Like, he's capable of it. So I think their captain's picks were deeper and better. I mean, Hovland is a guy that has been hot and cold, but when he's hot, he could be as good as anybody. He's another captain's pick. Lowry had a very, very consistent season. If he got hot, I wouldn't be surprised. So I think depth-wise, Europe is deeper, which, if I'm actually going on these lines, plus 170, like I would say you should take Europe. But the fact that I'm going and Jeff and Kevin have guilted me into picking the United States because I don't want to lose my passport, I'm going to pick the United States as well here. Even though I think the right side of my brain is saying Europe's deeper, you should take Europe in this sense. But I love the fact that I feel like I could argue both, because that means it's going to be good to watch, and it should be hopefully a close finish so that when we get to the singles and it comes down to the final matches, like, it's still up for grabs. We've seen some blowouts. The last 2 times, Europe just smoked the U.S. last time, and then 2 times ago, the U.S. smoked Europe. So, we had no drama at all. So hopefully maybe this sets up that we'll get some great drama in a Sunday finish with some of those singles matches at the end.
As long as we win, then we can have the drama. Yeah, I don't want the drama when we lose. Yeah,
there's a U.S. military veteran that I feel staring daggers into me by picking Europe.
Not just this one.
That's right.
Yep.
Hey, blank picks without emotion. That's why we have them on board. We need all sides here. I like it.
Not like I see it.
That's right. Okay, Kevin, before we wrap things up here, I know there's some news about the start of next year's PGA Tour season that I know you wanted to pass along, right, with Kapalua?
Yeah, they just announced today that, Maui's had just a terrible drought. 93% of the island affected by it, and where they've been rationing water. And listen, the folks there are still recovering from the devastating fires a couple of years ago, right, in Lahaina, which is right down the road. That's where we stay, just up the road from Lahaina. And so the tour went out there, the advanced team, and looked at it and said, you know what, this is the course is to get everything ready and hope for great weather, rain to come in, just too big of a challenge right now. So I think, folks in Maui and Maui County and everybody involved made a good decision where they can pivot now. We don't know where it's going to be yet. Maybe they'll go to the Big Island where they play the Champions Tour. Maybe they'll do somewhere on the West Coast to start the year for the Century. But so we'll wait and see what where that opening event is going to be on the PGA Tour. It doesn't affect the Sony that's in Honolulu the second week of the season.
Okay. Kevin, what after the Ryder Cup and we have this fall season of the PGA Tour, can you give everybody maybe just a quick summary, like what's in play here? We know names are not necessarily playing that off at all, but like what is in play right now from post Ryder Cup through that kind of the opening event, the Tournament of Champions? 7
events in the FedEx Fall, and so there's 6 left. There'll be Sanderson Farms will be the next one, but players will be the players who finished 71 through on up 150, what have you. They're playing to get inside the top 100, so they have their tour card for next year. And then then there's conditional status from 101 to 125, 126 to 150. But remember, reduced fields next year. The most you'll have, there's a couple events that'll have 156 like they used to do. For example, the American Express, because of 2 courses be in play, they'll do that. But I believe the max is going to be 144 next year for, let's say, the Valspar Championship. A non-signature or non-signature event. So and the players also are playing to get in 51 to 60, so they get in to the signature events, the first couple. So there's a lot to play for, and it's really going to be hard to keep your tour card moving forward for that to be in that top 100. So if you keep your tour card, you're in that top 100. You're doing something, man. It's really, and then you have guys like Garrick Higo, who won last year, who's exempt, and he's in the top 100. So he's like a card stealer, because it doesn't move up, if you will. So, wow. And by the way, Scotty Scheffler winning, and Ben Griffin finishing second, those points just get retired. They weren't awarded from last week. So like Lonto Griffin finished third. He got the most FedEx Cup points. Now, if those two guys weren't there, he wins a tournament, he gets 5. He's probably sealed the deal. That's a guy who had to win Q school last year. So
wasn't he the man that said he wished Scheffler wasn't there that week?
Yeah. He said the quiet part out loud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wish all those guys weren't there last week. Yeah.
But
That's right.
They have the right to be there. They can play every event if they want. I mean, that's
true.
Just the way it is.
Yeah. Jeff Blank, I know next week, as we get closing on the Ryder Cup, you're going to have a preview video, I assume, with your number breakdown and your normal weekly stuff that we look forward to here, right, on our platform.
You are now.
What's that?
You are now. I just said you.
You know who I'm picking now, apparently.
And yeah,
So
we
now
know what he's going to say. So, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll break down the numbers. We'll post some videos, get some wagers out there, have some fun with it.
Listen, you're a man that can be you take in the information, make the best decision at the time you do. So who knows? A week from now, you might dissect more numbers. Who knows? We could see you predicting the United States a week from now.
That's true. Things change as long as the numbers guide me. It'll go there.
That's right. Hey, our Winter Rules podcast here, presented by Golf Dojo, where, of course, you can take lessons with our great PGA pro, Jeff Meadus. Jeff, how do they take lessons with you? How do they get into Golf Dojo here? Maybe they want to come in and watch the Ryder Cup over the weekend, next weekend, and hit some balls inside a dojo.
Yeah, just go to mygolfdojo.com or email me at jeff@mygolfdojo.com.
Okay. Easy stuff there. Jeff's helped all of us out. He can help you.
What I like to do. It's fun for me.
That's right. Good stuff. Okay, guys. Well, everybody enjoy the Ryder Cup, and we'll have another show, of course, when it's over with our reaction. Don't forget, follow our social media pages at T2G Buffalo, like you are right now. If you're watching live, I'll be posting some fun stuff from Bethpage. I'm looking forward to getting there. So everybody enjoy the Ryder Cup. Thank you, gentlemen. For Kevin Sylvester, Jeff Blank, PGA Pro, Jeff Meadus, I'm Brian Koziel. We'll talk to you next time on our Winter Rules podcast presented by My Golf Dojo here on Tee to Green.